Okay, I'm going to depart from our format here for a second. I'm going to read an email that I should have read, but I didn't see it. Kippelman sent it to me, but I didn't see it until just yesterday when I was going through some stuff, and then it was too late to read it before this match. But it would have been a spoiler on the next event that was on this show, Matt Hardy and Sammy Guevara. I think you were furnished a copy of this email too. You may have seen it, but somebody wrote to us at the Drive-Thru. Hello, Jim. Love the show. I live in Pinehurst, North Carolina. This week, the AEW crew came down to film at Matt and Jeff Hardy's house. I think it's Matt's house. I don't think he and Jeff live together. But anyway, in nearby Cameron, North Carolina. The brothers are neighbors that bought all the land down one road outside of Cameron for themselves and their father, whom is known locally as Legend. Anyway, someone I know was hired to set up and work the lighting for the Matt and Sammy match, which they filmed Wednesday and Thursday night last week. This is apparently for the upcoming pay-per-view. My friend that doesn't watch the product noted to me that it was the stupidest thing she'd ever been a part of. She noted that they had over 300 people working the production. 300. That's got to be an exaggeration. And asked me if this was normal. I just shook my head in embarrassment. She said the cost for such a production was beyond anything she had ever seen, and also related that she had never heard of AEW nor knew it was on mainstream television. And of course, we're talking about the people who set up and work lighting and pull cable and stuff. They don't just bring in everybody for that. They have local people that do these things in these various areas. Apparently, the rule number one was for nobody to speak to Rebby Hardy unless she spoke to them, and don't park any production trucks, vehicles, or put any equipment by her car, which was pink. Rebby filmed a scene in the warehouse by Matt's home where she played piano, yet everyone was made to wait outside the building when she was filmed, save the camera operators. Apparently, it took a long time, and everybody was just standing around waiting. From there, they brought Matt and Sammy in to start filming, whom my friend thought was 16 years old. Sammy, I believe, not Matt Hardy. Regardless, she said Sammy was probably the nicest guy on the set. But she wondered again how any of this was wrestling, even though there was a ring on set. She just kept remarking on how much money was being spent or blown beyond the over 300 people there, whom all were booked into Pinehurst Resort hotels. Oddly, they all got double queen-bedded rooms per person, even people that lived around the area. Mind-boggling. They brought in a monster truck and had it run over a golf cart, or tried to, as it only knocked it over. They brought in other wrestlers, 2 guys that they had to reshoot over and over doing flips because they couldn't get them right, whom, based on the description, sounded like Private Party. All this stuff is coming to pass when I watch this show. They filmed a sequence where Matt and Sammy fired bazookas at each other that shot fireworks. They had to keep filming in the water by Jeff's house and a heavy sequence at a fountain when Matt couldn't get his dialogue right. The whole thing took all night, and during the time she said this guy was standing around acting giddy in a hoodie, whom after I showed her a picture confirmed it was your guy Tony Khan. She had no idea he was fronting the bill for all this. In fact, the entire time, everyone in production was remarking how much money was being wasted within earshot of him. He didn't seem to care. In the end, Matt went over Sammy, which was filmed shortly before daylight. Again, she just wondered how much money the whole operation was and if this made any money. Again, I just felt embarrassed. My question, Jim, if you had to give an estimate on when AEW gets the plug pulled, when would it be? When the guy in the hoodie quits being giddy.
You know, I got to jump in real quick. That email came in last week.
Yes, it's dated, wait a minute, it's dated November 2nd.
And one of the reasons, and I kick myself for this, one of the reasons it wasn't on last week's Drive-Thru was I'm reading it and I'm saying, this person could be working us. You know what I mean? Like,
you mean you'd seen it?
I saw it and I said to myself, there's no way. Little did I know, and I should have known better. I said, this person could be a mega AEW fan just trying to mess with us, sending us a false report for this match. And it was because of that I didn't read it on last week's Drive-Thru. And when I was watching the little bits of this match I actually watched, because I executed my Matt Hardy rule, which is back now, I realized that the email was 100% factual. And I kicked myself. I should have read it on last week's show. That's 100% my fault.
Well, I'm pissed at you for another reason, because I sat down and watched this thing for quite a while.
And by the way, the Rebby Hardy thing, when I worked at Sony Music, that was the Jennifer Lopez thing. When she came in the building, you weren't allowed to make eye contact with her. And when Lauryn Hill came in the building, you weren't allowed to call her Lauren. She was Miss Hill. Those were the two big ones I remember. And then there were people like Ricky Martin who would come in and were just fantastic human beings. And it made you want to help them and work with them.
But don't speak unless you're spoken to.
Don't make eye contact with J-Lo. Which is fine. Just, it gives you more time to look at her ass.
Well, I wish that's very sexist and misogynistic. I wish.
It is.
That's true. I wish that I had not made eye contact with this match. Or I can't say match. Come on. So it's at, obviously, Matt's house out in Cameron, and they just start, and I just wrote down something. Why are there metal garbage cans in the forest? They started this fight where Sammy had pulled up in a golf cart, but Matt had a drone, and the drone disabled the golf cart, and then Matt's talking like fucking Vincent Price again, and dressed like Beatrice Arthur again. And then they get into this, and they're hitting, and they're bouncing each other off the trees. And the announcers forgot for the first 2 minutes to announce it, or it didn't look like it should have been announced. And then when I heard them doing it, I realized that the announcers talking over it made it worse. It
did.
It did. It made it even worse, because now it's burying them too. And it's so fucking stupid. And what can they say? So they have to make fun of it.
It was, for AEW, it was Mystery Science Theater commentary.
Well, as a matter of fact, that's where I wrote. JR is really now saying stuff that he says when he's embarrassed by what he's seeing, and he's starting not to give a fuck, and he's just, they're giving each other suplexes in the front yard. And I wrote, they couldn't even do this in daylight, so you wouldn't see all the lighting trees set up in Matt's backyard. But then I realized, well, then the fireworks wouldn't have looked so good if it was daylight. They went into the ring in Matt's yard. At least they're in a ring, but there's tables set up. They got to have tables. This is one of the stupider things that I've seen people risk their health and physical safety on, especially with what happened to Matt before. And then I didn't think it could get rottener, and it got rottener. Matt powerbombed Sammy through a table in the ring in his warehouse or wherever the fuck. No, that was still the outdoor ring. But Tito and Ortiz came out and fucking attacked Matt Hardy. Tito and Santana and Ortiz. Or Tito and Ortiz. And they beat him up. So then Matt, while he's being mugged by these two street thugs, gets a walkie-talkie out from under the ring and calls for help, and you instantly cut to a camera shot. You see a camera inside Private Party's car, and they say, okay, 10-4, like they're on the other end of the walkie-talkie. But then the heels are continuing to just beat the shit out of Matt Hardy. The next time they cut back to Private Party is like 45 seconds or a minute later. They're still in the car. They're like, okay, we got to go now. Well, thanks for being in a fucking hurry. Two goddamn nitwits. I'm glad it's not me getting shit kicked out of me. This is embarrassing. And then they finally hit the fucking ring, and I guess that's where they did some cheerleading routines. Private Party and Tito and Ortiz, an entire cheerleading routine with the flips and the yay and the cartwheels, while Matt got fireworks from under the ring and started shooting them in the sky. Everybody ducked like it was acid rain, and then Sammy got one and fired them back. But then I think fucking Matt at one point shot fireworks up Sammy's taint. God damn it. You know what? Manscaped isn't even a goddamn sponsor this week. That would have been a segue. Don't burn your taint hair off. Shave it with Manscaped. But anyway, so then suddenly somebody stops Matt Hardy in his tracks, and the guy is a hooded figure who's got a hold of Hurricane Helmes, Shane Helmes. And he's speaking in a grovelly voice, and they reveals the hood off the robe off the thing. It's Gangrel. And then Private Party came in and jumped on Gangrel and started fighting him. And Matt Hardy and Shane Helmes stood there and did some kind of verbal exchange about Hurricanes, like, where you been, Matt? And Matt said, well, it's long-term storytelling. I had to get out of the previous company. That's it. I'm done. I'm going to say this. I watched enough of this to know that everybody involved in it ought to be ashamed of themselves, and I've already written Matt Hardy off. This is why I escaped watching apparently all the shit that they were doing in TNA with the broken Matt Hardy thing. He was doing teleportation or the drone or whatever. I missed all that. I never saw a bit of it because I like the Hardy Boys so much, and I didn't want to change that opinion. And nobody really gave a shit whether we watched Impact or not because nobody else was either. But now that it has been forced in front of me again, not only did by the time he came out of the goddamn ice machine from another dimension or whatever, the teleportation rule went in effect. But now, I like Shane Helmes. I like him as a wrestler. I like him as a person. And I love his Twitter. So I determined that I was done because if I had watched any more of this, I would not like Shane Helmes anymore either. I could tell that as soon as I heard the long-term storyline or long-term storytelling bit. So I watched no more of it. I fast-forwarded. I saw they were in another ring somewhere. I didn't stop to find out what. Everybody involved in whatever the fuck this was should be ashamed and leave the business in disgrace. And I've crossed at least one other old friend off my list, Matt Hardy. And I didn't watch Shane do whatever the fuck that he did that would make me do the same thing. This was fucking embarrassing. That's what I just did to my microphone.
What was that?
That was me spitting on my fucking microphone.
Why would you do that? You have to talk into it for the rest of the show.
Because it won't stink as bad as this match did, and I wanted to spit on this fucking match and everybody involved in it.
You know, I gave Matt Hardy like a little bit of leeway after he got his concussion doing something stupid. And I said, you know what? Maybe now he's going to abandon. Are you wiping the spit off the microphone?
Trying to get the spit off my fucking nice little screen there. I'll have to wipe it up underneath the... Here, I'm wiping this. I'll use some of these notes to wipe this spit up. Continue.
Well, now they'll be even more valuable. I said, you know what? Maybe I'll cool it a little bit with my Matt Hardy ban for all the stupid shit that he's a part of. And, you know, he did a regular promo, and then they got him back with Sammy. I said, oh no. Maybe they won't go back to the broken Matt Hardy shit. And wouldn't you know it?
The best promo he's done since they've been on television was the one where he just spoke as himself.
And then I started watching this, and it was almost instantly I said no. And I fast forwarded. I stopped at a few points when I saw the hooded figure, when I saw the Hurricane get released from what appeared to be invisible handcuffs. I didn't realize it was a lake. It was so dark, I thought it was a black curtain. And then I realized, oh shit, that's a lake.
I didn't get to the lake.
I didn't even know what was going on. When I stopped the fast forward and I realized, son of a bitch, that email was on the money, I was mad at myself. But this was garbage. I don't want to see Matt Hardy ever again. This is a waste of Sammy Guevara, bringing him back into this garbage feud. I don't have too many other thoughts I could add to this other than, you know, Jim, when I was done with this pure garbage, I was disgusted with myself, and I felt the need to go into the bathroom and wash up and rinse myself.
Clean yourself
of this filth. I'm talking my body, my hair. I'm talking about after I get out, some nice deodorant.
Your nails.
I couldn't deal with this anymore, and luckily, thanks to our good friends at Hawthorne, I was able to cleanse myself of the filth that was the Elite Deletion.
That's exactly right, folks, and I'll tell you what, we got new friends. We're making new friends all the time. The folks at Hawthorne are our new friends, and they've got products. If you have to watch matches that reek of the stench of grisly death like this one for your line of work, nobody would do this for recreation. But if you have to watch this stuff, you need to visit our fine friends at Hawthorne. Folks, they've got lotions, they've got soaps, they've got a variety of things to clean you from head to toe to make you feel better, smell better, moisturizers, lotions, and potions. I'm going to tell you, first of all, you go there and they don't just give you what they give anybody. Your orders, your picks, your choices are customized specifically for you from a survey that you take. It's easy. It's not intrusive. What's your favorite drink? How do you like to spend a night out? That type of thing. And then they factor your answers into the results. It's an easy quiz. It's quick. It's fun. And then they recommend things for you, specifically tailored to you. And I'll tell you what, to be honest, I'm cheating a little bit. The face lotion, I can't even pronounce this. I've got it right over here so I can read it, but it contains Centella asiatica and aloe. But it's a medium weight lotion that both moisturizes and hydrates, because I mentioned about my dry skin. And the face lotion, I'm cheating. I'm using it on my elbows. My elbows felt like sandpaper because I'm constantly leaning on something as I address all these Cornette's collectibles on envelopes. No more. My elbows, Brian Last, are as smooth and soft and hydrated as a baby's keister. The folks at Hawthorne, they've got all kinds of... What did you like the best?
I'll tell you what I like the best. There was a hand soap that they sent me based on me filling out this quiz they have. It's dark rum. I was about to say flavored. I don't know if flavor is the right term.
Well, I don't know. Well, why don't you have Suzanne wash your mouth out, you foul thing, and we'll see if it's flavored.
It is dark rum hand soap that every time I wash my hands with it, I just smell my hands. It smells so good. I will say, on the topic of the lovely Suzanne, she loves the colognes they sent me. There's one they labeled as work and one they labeled as play, and they both smell fantastic. And I feel really good wearing this when I go out. I'm afraid that women are going to rip my clothes off and just...
I think you're fairly safe there, but so if you wear both of them, you can have kind of work in the front and play in the back kind of thing.
I think that may be a bit much. I would conserve these colognes because they're so nice and use one at a time.
Well, you're very conservative anyway. You don't want to drive the women mad. And folks, you can build personalized gifts for other people too. You can give gifts to your friends and family from Hawthorne. Anyway, it's a fun, convenient way to get super high quality products tailored specifically for men. And they take the risk out of it by giving you free shipping on your order and free returns. If you don't like their products, they'll even retailer them based on the feedback you give them. So get special offers for the holidays going on right now by visiting hawthorne.co. That's Hawthorne, HAWTHORNE.co to check out all the special holiday offers. You will smell so good it'll give people a headache. Holy mackerel, you'll be slicker than cum on a gold tooth. You'll be moisturized, sanitized, homogenized, and pasteurized with Hawthorne.
I love that dark rum.
Yeah, you're sipping on that soap.
I'm not drinking the soap.
Yeah, well, you're drinking the Kool-Aid then.
But every time I burp, there are bubbles. They just come out of my mouth.
I knew a girl in Jackson, Mississippi that had that trouble.
Let's not do that right now.